All right, everybody, we're here again. We're here for another Kohan Duels video. Welcome back to another Kohan Duels video. How'd you like that intro?
Amazing. Loved it.
That's right, my friends. It's not just me here. It's my dear friend BoNT, all the way from the United Kingdoms, casting across the Atlantic Ocean. Look at the marvels of modern technology.
Yep, I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so we saw an awesome game one between Zeza and Flute, and here we are on to game two. We're just continuing to cast these tournament games that we finished up. Tournament finished up, what, in October, November?
Roughly around about there.
Yeah, we got this backlog of all these tournament games that we want to get out to you guys. And so here we are, doing it. So let's do it. Let's dive in. Game two, it was Flute's pick, and we are on Blizzard of Oz. The first map that I ever made for Kohan. It's gone through a lot of changes, but still pretty much the same. All right, we ready? Let's dive in here. So, introduce our players for us, BoNT.
So, with our blue player over here, we have Zeza, the infamous Ceyah player. And in the other corner, we have the red Nationalist player, Flute, also known as Shame Flute, or Flute of Shame, or any other alias that he's going by this week.
Yes, and we got these shadlings coming out immediately from Zeza. It looks like he's going for a gold steal. Or just a really early scout, but there's no reason to send shadlings out this quick unless you're going for that gold steal. But look, Flute, it actually looks like he's kind of expecting it and is immediately going for his Ancient Ruin. And so let me just explain the way the Ancient Ruins work on these Kohan Duels maps. You always have a 70 gold Ancient Ruin that is near you. And there's always the possibility that the player could go for a gold steal, that they can do exactly what Zeza is trying to do right here and immediately build Scout or Shadelegs and go for it. But they're always spaced in such a way that the player always has at least like 20 seconds to get one of their units there, in which case there's no possibility of a gold steal. So like getting a quarry first, getting the engineers up, and then immediately sending them to your ruin, as long as you do it right and you're not slow about getting your stuff, you can always get there before a gold steal is possible. Anything else, if you try to be greedier than that and wait longer, then you're opening yourself up to the possibility of a gold steal.
Going for a different kind of gold steal here, gold mine steal.
Yeah, and that is very possible. Blizzard of Oz is one of the maps where the gold mine is kind of a little bit out there, and you'll see games on this map where it's very easy for scouts or shadelings or anything to just come down and be able to hit it outside of the militia and then get out of there. There's no way that was actually going to happen there, but Zeza wanted to just, hit it and see what would happen. Either way, we're seeing the exact same standard opening here from Flute. Not the exact same because he went for the engineers first as opposed to the scouts first, but kind of at this point it ends up the same. And let us see what Zeza is doing. And this looks extremely familiar. It looks like he's actually going the exact same build that he went last time. If we see the Mana Forge go up there. Yep.
Yeah, I think for this tournament, a lot of players. By no means are any of us compared like pros at the game. I think a lot of players just sort of had like one build that they sort of stuck with, and as you can see, it lets you do really well if you just know one build that you've rehearsed or practiced.
Yeah, and the way the tournament worked too is that there was always time in between your matches. You usually knew you were playing somebody at least a couple days before you were going to play them, and you weren't doing like a bunch of back-to-back matches with different people. So I know at least the way I often prepared is when I knew I was doing a game against someone, I would use those couple days to decide the best build against that player, and thinking of the maps too. But especially in like a small community like this too, where we all kind of know how each other plays, you can play the player to a decent extent too. And I know that's what I did. For whatever reason, I couldn't actually tell you what was going on in my mind right now because I don't remember. But for whatever reason, I thought this early Shadow Knight build would be very good against Flute.
Yeah, well, Shadow Knights work. Okay, go Shadow Knights.
I mean, yeah, I guess that should be the name of the build. Shadow Knights work.
Shadow Knights work, yeah.
So Zeza's going over here trying to get his bandit camp pretty early. He's actually barely... those bandits are proving a little bit more of a pain than they should, but it's going to be fine. He's going to get it. These Shadow Knights going to come in here, finish it off. And over here, very, very early Haroon for Flute. He's going for that before he goes for the bandits.
Yeah, he's definitely relying on that to start getting things running.
Yep. As we talked about last game, that's kind of the Nationalist build that Flute really, really thinks is the best build, is to forego the early settlers. Because if you try to get settlers too early, you're just opening yourself up to so much like harassment possibility. And you can just actually get a military up with your really limited supply and just really, really use those indies to your advantage, and take a 4-slot indie as soon as possible. Get yourself to a decent company limit, and then you can start thinking about settling, which is exactly what he's doing. He's got Adelon again, like we saw last game. And aside from that, I think he had Nava. Yeah, so Nava and Adelon, pretty good Kohans, honestly. I think he should be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, for sure. Nava is definitely one of those heroes that you're just like, oh yeah, I've actually got a chance of winning now.
Yeah, right?
Sebastian and Nava are just best heroes.
Yep. Shadlings went down to the spiders, and honestly, the weird thing with spiders is it's so important to scout the spiders to see when your opponent tries to take them or if they've taken them yet. But often that means that you're like sacrificing your company.
Yeah, you're gonna lose some scouts when they pop out in the web.
And so that's what happened there, and that was probably pretty known by Zeza. He's just making these cheap as hell shadelings just to go over and scout the spiders, because the last thing he wants to happen is for Flute to be able to take both spiders and then him be down by that huge gold amount. So now he's scouted them and he knows what's going on with the spiders. But Flute is moving in here, not looking at the spiders, but perhaps looking at the Slan. Oh, yeah, and he goes right for it.
He's going straight in there. He's setting up a bit of a supply chain there, going all the way back to his main.
Yep.
Through all different settlements.
Yeah, really good spot for the settlement there. This looks like something he's very much planned and done before.
They're definitely tipping that fight there.
Yeah. And this was actually close, but this was close, but he knew that he was going to be able to take the Slan barely with that, and he does. Zeza's moving over here, and it looks like he might actually be either going for the Gari or going for the spider. Now, I wonder if he sees this happening right now. I'd have to think that one of his shades would have scouted this and knows that Flute is going after that.
Possibly. I believe the shade at the start of the game, the shadelings scouted both the Slanry and the middle with the two Iron Mans.
I believe so. Okay, so he's going to be able to take him, and Zeza is going over here and going right for the spider. So a difference of strategy there, whereas the Nationalist player here is going straight for the neutral indie in the middle, we see that the Ceyah player is going right for the spider nest in the middle. 65-70 now to 53. So the Nationalist economy is ahead, as it should be. And what does he got? Pretty early library. Earlier library this game than last game.
Yeah, here come the summoners.
Yep, immediately going for those footmen with summoners. Perhaps being a little bit more scared of Zeza's ability to push early and wanting to set himself up just a little bit earlier than he did last game. Shadelings are
that gold mine.
Yep, yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Zeza's going in there and just hoping that he can catch Flute off guard. Because if Flute didn't have those footmen there, if they were off somewhere else, if they were like moving toward the center to, get his position going there, then he could have easily just sniped that gold mine, raised it, got out of there, and just really pissed Flute off.
Yeah, he's just coming in to check if anyone's home, and if they are, he just moves off and goes somewhere else on the map.
Exactly. So, did get the spiders, Zeza did. And so he's getting more settlers here. He's getting his bone bows up, looking similar to last game. But I think the beauty of how the build worked on Destiny is that he was able to take both of those neutrals at the same time. If you remember how we kind of took the Slan and the Haroon at the same time, he did not do that this time. He more took the Haroon and then tried to get an advantage by getting the spider.
Well, he's getting another settler company, which means another Ceyah settlement going down, but he still doesn't have that Gari yet. So, yeah, in this case, he's only got one indie as opposed to the last game where he had two.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you feel about that play, the choice to go for the spider instead of the Gari?
I think it was a good move because with a mana-heavy play like this and Shadow Knights, obviously more settlements with more mana forges in them means that you can have even more Shadow Knights. So, I think it was a good idea. It was a good play. He's handling the militia right now quite well as well.
Yep, going for that Gari here. And look, Flute immediately catches wind of this. He sees that it's happening. And he's going to go over and try to do everything in his power to stop it. These scouts are kind of catching these Shadlings and these engineers. And so we just got the Bombos and the Shadow Knights against Footmen and Scouts. And I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, that protection spell means nothing against Shadow Knights.
Yes,
absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Now, she does have heal too, which is going to help a bit. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be okay for Zeza.
Yeah, he fended it off. That's definitely his fight to take there.
His parties are looking a bit haggard. In fact, he is completely wiped out of Shadow Knights there and just has these engineers. And coming back here is Flute. Flute does not really does not want this battle to go that way. He really wants to stop Zeza from getting this Gari.
Yeah, he's coming in for round 2 there. He did press those footmen with summoners in, which was a good choice because at the end of the day, the summons don't care about whether or not the company was pressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's getting a little hairy. This is really close and scrappy of a battle. Zeza takes his Gari, but this is kind of really close as to whether or not he's going to be able to keep it. And with this full company of footmen coming up, it's looking a bit scary.
There is one little Gari militia guy popping out there, but it won't really shield the bone bows.
No, and Zeza's is a forced retreat here. It looks like, God, this is honestly kind of a worst case scenario because Zeza just did all the work to, do damage to the Gari and destroy the militia, and Flute just had to come in there and stab it once and take it over.
Yeah, he just came in with a summoner follow-up, and now it's his Gari. So, bit of a bad situation to be in, but I think it's salvageable at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Zeza's not in a terrible position. He's still at plus 73 economy, so doing a really good job of managing his economy this match, I would say. Continues to be ahead of Flute. And if you don't notice, he got another Mana Forge in his second here. And with that came another company of short Shadow Knights. So he has 2 short Shadow Knights. These ones actually have Bombo and Shadling in the back. He's got the Bombos, he's got the Engineers, and he's got more short Bombos coming out. So he's got these Skeleton Warriors with Praxis. So he really has a pretty threatening army here while maintaining a pretty good econ.
The decision to get the other settler company definitely paying off now. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the Gari's nice, but you still have an extra settlement.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the company limit that he needs. And look at this, immediately going for watchtowers on the Gari. I kind of like that play. Plus the outpost. He does not want to lose this Gari. Like, that is what Flute has... Go on.
He's extending the supply range over there, so he's planning on getting aggressive on that side, I'd say.
And look at this. Flute is going for his fighters a lot later than Zeza. Zeza is definitely seeing this. As we saw, he threw those scouts or their Shadlings in there earlier to be catching these kind of things. But it looks like Flute's going to be able to take it kind of no problem.
He's trusting that scout company to finish up there.
Okay, so Zeza is going over here with these Shadlings and is going to try... He's just using their Shadlings to stop... buy himself some time for the rest of his army to get over here. I think he really wants to snipe these spiders. And it's actually very possible.
Yeah, he's not going to kill it in time with those Shadow Knights running up there.
No, these scouts are not going to be able to do it. Now, over here, we have something scary happening. We have First Footmen are going after Harj Darjaj, Zeza's Haroon Sanctuary, and holy shit, they're able to take out the militia very easily. These guys should be able to come over here and handle it just fine. And over here, look, Zeza's able to steal that spider. So that really evens things up a bit. I mean, Flute was able to really steal that Gari from Zeza, but Zeza was now able to steal the spider. And what we have here is that Flute has kind of map control and has the center, but Zeza was able to get both of those spider layers and is sitting at a lot of money right now because of it.
Yeah, and for sure, that's a lot of money from those spider layers. I think it's in this version of the map, it's 190 gold each.
180, I believe. Yeah.
180.
And look at this. He's continuing to press his position, Zeza and is trying to move right from that spider lair into this Slan. Now, this is a scary attack. Flute, once again, is doing some pretty good scout play this game, and he's got super scouts there with Edelon, and that's actually a really scary party. And it's going to be able to... Scary. Oh, wow, look at that. He was able to retreat, get those Shadow Knights. He might be able to get these Bombos, too, and this is actually looking really bad for Zeza. Over here, it looks like we have Zeza mobilizing to try to go after this Gari or go after the middle. Or no, he's actually trying to just go over here and help salvage this battle that's been going so badly. Praxis looks like he's going to get caught. Oh my god. And these Bombos look like they might get caught as well.
Super Scouts are amazing at chasing down weak companies and finishing them off, especially with Eidolon
Oh.
throwing fireballs as well.
Oh my god. Flute just took down all 3 of those companies.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
Super
big
Scouts
up.
are so powerful on this map, especially with all the terrain.
Oh, for sure.
You see this all the snow forest that kind of compromises or comprises, these whole areas of the map. The middle is all grass, but there's so much mobility that they can gain. Okay, we got over here. Zeza is going after the Slan with pretty much the same kind of companies he had that just got broken by Flute. And I don't know how this is going to go. He's got some zombies moving up and some more Shadow Knights.
There are so many flanks happening in
Oh
this
my!
fight.
I know. I'm trying to like notice all the flanks, and it's just like flank
Yeah,
after flank after flank.
just like Zeza blocked one flank, and then the other flank comes from the other side. It's just getting surrounded. It's a very scary fight to be in right now.
Yeah, it really is. And Flute's I almost said Fluteman. Foot's Fluteman go down. These engineers are over here, and Nava went down. That is definitely a really good boon for Zeza. I mean, if we look at Eidolon, I think is still up and doing pretty well, but Nava, who was there from the beginning, is gone. Zeza, both of his Vargas, and I haven't even seen Vargas around. To be honest, I don't even know what company he was on. Praxis we saw die, and look, yeah, this is just a scrappy as hell battle.
I believe Vargas was on some Shadow Knights.
I think you're right.
But I don't see him now, so...
We got Praxis on these Shadow Knights, and Zeza he's done it again. He's tanked his economy, but at a very different position than he was last game when he chose to tank his economy.
The magic damage and the Calder Knight damage from those ranges and Eidolon is just a lot for Shadow Knights.
Okay, so Zeza completely failed to take the center, and at this point, Flute is really solidifying his position in the center a lot more. He's got a fort now, and he's got multiple summoner companies, and Zeza is forced to have to take a deep breath here and not continue the push that he so desperately wanted to work.
It looks like at this point, I think both players are just kind of working out which side they want to hit. Looks like Fluke has decided, but with the middle so heavily fortified, it's kind of a rough choice.
Mm-hmm. So Zeza is sitting on a lot of Shadow Knights here. Not much in the way of back row DPS. He has these one short bone bows, and then one of his Shadow Knights has a Wraith on the back of it. But he's continued to move in here, really, really wanting to take this Slan. I think Zeza's at a point where he's really, really feeling like he's very far behind because he gave up so much map control to Flute, and he is just desperately trying to gain some of it back.
I think in this fight over here, Zeza's army is actually the stronger one, and is the more formidable one. But you'll notice that Fluke is he's throwing his fodder units in, and not actually he's winning the trades because of the ranges and Eidolon. He's kind of dancing them in and out, dealing some damage. But it's slowing the advance, but Zeza's still able to push forward as far as he has because of the Shadow Knights.
Shadow Knights are a damn good unit.
Very, very good. Just the best for mid-game, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. And it's looking powerful, but I don't know how this fight is going to go. We got these archers with magician backing, and that's going to add a lot of DPS to Flute's army, especially once we get the militia coming out here to really be able to stand in front of them.
Yeah. It looks like without the reliance on skeletons, the Shadow Knights do take a bit of extra damage from ranged attacks. They're resistant to it, but they are not as resistant to skeletons.
Yeah, skeletons take 5%. I believe Shadow Knights take 60%.
Yeah, it's either 60 or 40%.
Yeah, decreased to 60.
Yeah.
And once again, Shadow Knights go down, and Zeza is forced to retreat. This continued push on the Slan is really just not working. This is kind of the only way I can put it.
It needs a bit of extra punch, I'd say, but for what he has at the moment, I think he's doing quite well. He's able to hold or prevent Fluke from pushing onto him over there. He still has enough to deter that.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's just a standoff. Both players are unable to find like a bit of an edge or get a step forward against the other player.
Yeah, we see a big standoff here, and Flute has not been able to completely capitalize on his position in the middle. He has not taken either of these irons, and that's when it would get like really scary and out of control for Zeza if he was able to let Flute do that. But as of right now, Flute just has these two neutrals, and it seems scary, but Zeza still has. I mean, he still has a really formidable army. Their economies are pretty similar. They're actually very similar, 72 to 75.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an issue over here of the splitting of Zeza's army. You can see he has these bombos and the engineers over here. Meanwhile, Flute's army is all concentrated in one spot. And Flute is just going over here. It looks like he might just be throwing some golems.
Yeah. I think he's just trying to wear them down a bit or interrupt healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's pushing in with the Super Scouts to deal some damage and then pull them back.
Yep.
But look at that, the Shadow Knight's just melting the front line of those Super Scouts. The morale is dropping. They're gonna rout soon.
God, this is such a tough position for Zeza, though. I mean, he has a good army and something that can deal with what Flute has, but it seems like every time he tries to make a push, he comes out slightly ahead in the actual clash of the armies, but then he still just has a militia of a fort and a slan to try to contest with, and he just can't push through.
It's just so many free units being thrown at the line here, because not only militia, but the golems as well. Mm-hmm. And even if you kill them fast, they still manage to deal a bit of AoE damage, and it grinds you down over time.
Yeah.
And that's what Luke is trying to do here.
And look at this, Adelon has gotten to Enlightened. And what happens to him when he gets Enlightened? Do you know off the top of your head?
He gets worse. Fire Blast is unfortunately a broken spell. It takes way too much mana and doesn't deal that much damage, so the actual DPS lowers.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Some of the heroes get worse because of the way the spells are made in the base game.
Well,
so Fire Blast will still do more damage per hit, but
yeah,
cost less.
So the actual DPS is lower there?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, he's still a very scary Kohan to be up against, and still doing a lot of damage.
I mean, a fireball is a fireball.
Exactly. And it looks like, yeah, this is just really good control by Flute here, too. He's doing such a good job of just kind of dancing his summoners in and out, throwing fireballs with the magicians and with Adelon. And he's making a good push here, and it's not going to work out in the long run, but still, he is now sitting back at a significantly higher economy. And that is when things are going to start to look really scary. I had seen him get some settlers out a few minutes ago, and I forgot to make mention of it, but I at least showed it on the screen. And that was a really, really good move. In this kind of standstill, that's really what you have to do to start to get ahead, is just like, all right, no player is going to be able to break through either one, so just start throwing more settlements down.
He knows for sure he can hold Zeza off, so getting the settlers and making use of the space that he's actually claimed so far can actually just be the tipping point to, like, finishing out the game.
Mm-hmm. And look at this. He got Super Goats and tossed Adelon on there instead of Super Scouts. And this is now about the scariest thing to see from a mobile unit like that. And they're just going to go over here and poke around. Zeza's still, he's huddled up. And look, he's got Skeletons with Necromancer is the tech switch he's going for.
Very solid front wall. It just throws up a wall of units to deal with. It's quite a good answer to golems, but golems outclass them, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that's what was going through his head here, is he's trying to kind of match the golems. He's tired of these golems just being able to throw in there and kind of disrupt everything, and so he wants to be able to do the same thing. Okay, another engagement is happening here, and more of the same. It's absolutely more of the same. Golems are being thrown into the battle. And unfortunately, it's really hard to see when the skeletons are thrown into the battle because there's a bunch of other skeletons around. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we got the flank coming over here from Super Scouts and from Super Goats. They're not going to do anything too significant. They're going to get pushed back. And over here, Zeza is trying to flank again. Zeza is finally getting the rest of his army to meet up. He has these two short bombos. He is trying to get an outpost down. He wants to get a foothold in the middle of this map. And he has not been able to do the whole game, but he has been trying for a good 20 minutes to get a foothold in the middle of this map.
This might be the thing that breaks Flute, yeah.
Oh, Vargas is going down. Really missed micro there. He was on engage on those bombos and just kind of ran right out there.
Very, very brave from Vargas there.
Yes, he's a very brave man. Luckily, he didn't have any experience anyway, so it wasn't the hugest
Yeah.
loss. But Zeza is starting to move in a little bit here. I mean, I think those necromancers in the back of those skeletons are really helping him move here. The bows helping him come out. But you'll notice he does not have any prophets this game. He chose to go for that library tech instead. And I don't know, it's hard. The necromancers are helping, but are they better than his usual prophet play?
I think for Ceyah, it's actually a good answer, because with Ceyah you have the luxury of so many really nice melee DPS units. So to protect them, you just have like companies with skeletons and necromancers or shadow demons that just throw up like trash units for the enemy to deal with.
Yeah.
While the Shadow Knights, they can't target down the Shadow Knights because they're in the middle of the angry swarm. So it's a good tactic. It's a solid one.
It was. I would almost like to see him switch again into Temple Tech. Although he does not have a Carpentry Guild there, so that's going to be significantly harder if he wanted to do that.
It's very much a melee settlement there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is looking pretty decent for Zeza. I mean, I still don't necessarily think he's going to be able to push through. Engineers go down, and that always sucks. That's a big loss of money. And Slan Militia coming out. And look at this. We still have 4 summoners out on the battlefield. We still have magicians, and we still have these super ghosts sitting in the back.
Yeah, it looks like Zeza's getting worn down a bit here. Flute is still able to have some companies healing in the back, so he just kind of throws them in and tries to get like flanks wherever he can.
This is a desperate struggle for Zeza, and bows go down. He is starting to tank his economy once again. We're seeing that happen, and it seems a little bit like a desperation mode kind of thing. I don't know. Like, do you think that Zeza could have made some other moves this game instead of just being so highly focused on this Slan?
So I think it's understandable given the position, because right now the big fights on the map have started, and you kind of need to commit all of your resources to getting enough army, otherwise they're not going to stop their advance. So there is no time or space to throw down more settlements. But you know, there's a spot on the map that is just a bit further up there. That's actually a good spot for a settlement there because it's nice and safe. But for the most part, I really can't blame him for focusing on the fight here, because he has to keep them at bay or he's going to lose.
And look at this. This position is starting to actually get really, really scary. Flute has thrown up a settlement, throwing up an outpost. He is going to be taking both those irons. And if you notice back here, he has Bowman with Zealot Fanatic, and then Bowman with Maelstrom Entrant Fanatic coming up. So now he has got that, that elite tech starting to come out, and Zeza does not have anything to speak of to match that.
I think if this company cap was a bit higher for Zeza, just padding out his army with some zombie companies would have done quite a it would be quite a big deal against just taking the hits instead of his more expensive units. But yeah, as it stands, Fluke is growing. He's getting stronger.
And we've seen pretty much the entire game. I mean, Zeza's economy has been going like up and down, and he's been like tanking it and losing units and working a bit on his econ. But it's been sticking around like 40, 50, 60. Flute's has been around like 70, 80, 90, 100. It's kind of the lowest it's been in a bit right now because he just got those tech companies. But Flute has just been sitting back on such a higher economy this entire game, and that has just let him slowly build up enough to take more of the center.
Fluke is relying on nice cheap wood units as well, so he's been able to sort of do quite well with cheaper units and just get more of them just to have on the field.
And Zeza is pushing, but once again his position is just not quite enough to be able to get in there. But plus 79, he's actually gotten his economy to a pretty good spot. I think that might have just been from losing companies.
Yeah. There's quite a few Shadow Knights missing from
There's not as many Shadow Knights as there was before that battle. And one more golem just has to throw a punch just to piss these off.
Yeah, it's just kind of coming in to show who's boss and then immediately die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has control of both irons. Does Flute, and he has 13 iron to do something with now.
This,
I don't know what he's going to get. He doesn't actually have the tech for goons right now. He doesn't have a barracks there.
no, he's just that's just Fnatic tech there. I think
Yeah.
he's just going straight for Fanatics and Zealots maybe.
Interested to see what he's going to do with all his newfound iron, but he might not even be thinking or caring that much about that right now, to be honest.
On this version of the map, once a player gets to this point where they own both indies and the mines in the middle, it is extremely difficult to break. Fighting in that little enclosed area where the iron mines are it's just a fantastic place to lead people on goose chases and like flank them from behind and mess with them.
It really is. There is very small chokes. There's a lot of little like runarounds you can do in the mountains. There's a lot. Like if you try to go in that choke, guarantee you're going to get flanked from behind.
Yeah, it's too juicy to pass up. They'll do it on instinct.
Yeah, I mean, Flute's position here is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's played this, I think, really perfectly. I think Flute does a really good job of playing this map in particular.
Yes.
Pretty much every time I've played him on this map, I've been kind of scared of him, and he's just done such a good job of just like running and taking control of that center in a really controlled but powerful way.
Yeah, it seems like this is the map that Fluke is sort of like chosen as his go-to. Maybe noticed that many people weren't paying much attention to this map, so he went ahead and seemed to me like he practiced it a fair bit. And I think he's probably one of the strongest players, if not the strongest, on this map.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And this was, I would say, before the tournament, this is the map that got played least. Like you were saying, it was a little bit ignored. You know, it's a weirder map in some ways. You know, it's got a lot of weird terrain. It's got the dragons. It's the same size as other maps, but just due to the configuration of the map, it's almost acts sometimes like it's just this square. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like a map that you're never really sure if you're safe settling somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, like everything's under threat.
But I think Flute had a really good play this game where he put that settlement right out here, connected all the supply zones, got that Slan as soon as possible, and just took control of the center.
He spent most of this game fighting very close to his own supply zone and not really overextending, just sort of holding and poking whenever he could, which very effective tactic.
And look at this. His economy is tanked a little bit because he is at this point just looking to end the game, I think. And look at that. Right as I say that, Zeza gives the GG, and that is the end of the game.
GG.
Yeah, that was a really good game. It was just this, like, it was so close, but it was also so far, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, it's you feel like you've got like something really powerful with the Shadow Knights, and then they spend all this time wasted fighting golems, and then you're just like, where did my army go? You know, they just grind you down.
Yeah, I mean, Flute just did an amazing job of just hunkering himself down and just really grinding Zeza to the bone. And it was just like push after push after push that Zeza was so close to being able to make work. Like really close a lot of times to being able to get there. And it just was never ever quite enough. And there were so many like small things. I think one of the biggest things that happened in this game, obviously I played this game, I've had time to think about it and looked at it multiple times. One of the biggest things that happened is early game when Flute had gone for this spider and Zeza was able to steal it. That was a really, really powerful position for Zeza. And then he got really greedy and tried to go immediately for the Slan after that. And I think if he had just pulled back and just waited a little bit longer for a better time to attack, he would have been in a way better position.
Yeah, I think many people call me an overly cautious player, but one thing I've noticed about this game is that you need to have all your companies like at maximum HP or as close to maximum as possible. Otherwise, you just do really badly in trades. And I think it seems like it's really tempting to just sort of like you're on a roll. You've just taken something. You're going to push forward and take something else. But if they're not at max strength, then your chances of winning those trades are significantly reduced, and you can lose companies for no good reason sometimes.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that is like exactly what happened with Zeza that game. It was just like a riding off of a little bit of a high of momentum where it was like, all right, I got the spider. Like, what else can I take? You know what I mean? But it was just like, no, slow down. You got the spider. Go back to your base. You like sit on your laurels for a little bit. Use that money to get some tech, to get another company that's going to actually let you have a successful push and not just like trying to just like hold on to that momentum, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Fear is the mind killer. You gotta like be calm, just sit back and analyze your decisions, and do what makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that is another game in the books. This series is now 1-1. It's going to be Zeza's choice for the final map.
Yeah,
And we hope you guys join us in the next video. Thanks for watching.
yeah. Thank you for watching.